episode 9 or actually week 9 of the BDE Sports Talk podcast Pick'em show. The B and the D are here. The E, I guess, decided that his record was not cutting it.
That's poor man.
He had previous engagements tonight, so it's just me and Dean tonight. Dean, how you feeling?
I feel pretty good. It's another week goes by. My strategy hasn't completely failed me just yet, so let's just keep it rolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have to quit the show, so
Yeah.
we let him go.
I told him we'd tell our vast audience that we would call him out and say that he just wanted to quit. So he should be back next week. We do have his picks, so if you'd like to fade him, I can talk crap about him because he's gone. if you want to go opposite of every pick that he has, I don't blame you.
It's probably the smart move, unless we pick it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it might actually still might be the smarter move to go against it. If we all picked it, you probably should just steer away from that bet.
Yeah. Hey, no, last week we went 5-4 on premium bets. So if you bet them separately, then you won some money.
That is true. If you bet them separately and didn't do what we did, parlayed all 9 of them.
All. It was over by 1.
That wasn't a good call. We should have done it by 3s. I don't know.
So, People's Parlay for the first time in 9 weeks. No leg hit. All 3 were losers. So, we'll try again this week. Looks like going over the records, the money line, I went 15-3, and my total so far this year is a 116-34 at 77.3%. Dean went 13-5. He's 118-33. That's at 78.1%. And Eddie also went 13-5. He's 109-41 at 72.6%. Like I said, none of us hit our stone cold locks. Eddie and I are both 4-4 on the year, and Dean is 5-3. That's 62.5%.
And Bama's on a bye week, so probably 5-4. Every time I've steered, you know what? I was just saying this the other day. Everything I picked, like if I'm not locking Bama and I pick them, they've hit everything I've said.
Yeah.
Up to that point, so I might as well have just locked them anyway.
Yeah, you would have been 6-2.
Yeah. Well, actually, if I would have done the week before that too, I'd be 7-1. Jeez. But they'd all be Bama.
Hey,
I'm trying to steer clear.
I mean, for a long time when Alabama was dominating, they were the easy pick.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's not quite as easy this year, but I mean, it's still Bama.
Bama, yeah.
It's still Bama.
So I went 10-8 against the spread or over unders. That puts me at 73-67-4. That's 50.7%. Eddie went 500 at 9-9. He's 62-75-7 at 43.1%. Dean went 12-6. The method keeps working. 78-62-5, 53.8%. And I had 35 points. Eddie had 32 points, and Dean had 37 points. For a season total, I have 280. Eddie has 253, and you, Dean, are still in the lead at 294. So, good for you.
Looking to hit 300, baby.
Overall on the year, we are 1-5 on the parlay. Our premium bet is 10-12-2. So the last couple weeks, week 7 and 8 were 6 and 5 on the premium bet. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
honestly, our money line is pretty good. If you go off of if you're just a money line better, our money line is pretty solid.
yeah. The problem is like the money line
I mean, you
is
don't
like
make a lot of money in doing that, but you're a money line
no.
better. If you're a money line better, we're solid money line.
Yeah.
Until this week, I say that and then I get 0 this week or something. I didn't guess
Just
any game right.
0 and 18.
Yeah, just so oh no.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna go with a little different format this week. Um, maybe it'll be a little bit short of an episode. Um, but I watch just for reference. You know how like when you quote something, you always like quote the book or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I just
oh
keep it
well.
as my own. No, I said that actually.
That's plagiarism.
Now that they don't know.
uh, it's just I watch Barstool Pick'em,
Mhm.
and they have their episodes are an hour, but they have a lot more things they talk about outside of picks. If I figured no one really wants to probably hear 20 games of analysis from all three of us. You know what I
We
mean?
don't do that much analysis.
No,
Oh,
no, we don't.
well, 2 of us don't.
Yeah.
So we had to
Wait,
kick somebody out.
wait for the podcast to come out Saturday. Spoiler: if you're a big fan of Urban Meyer and Michigan State, you'll love the
Man,
last 45 minutes of that
I,
episode.
I do love the validity that he brought to it.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, for you.
Well, yeah, for me, yes. For me, yes. It'd be fantastic. That's like the best case scenario, right? I mean,
So, all right. So we're gonna go over. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, noteworthy games for us, and overall. Michigan's on a bye this week. Uh, man, that real quick before we get going, have you been paying attention to this at all, or what they call a scandal
to
with
what?
the whole sign, like the sign stealing and in-person scouting? Have you seen anything? I mean, I see it every day because I think my algorithm is just um
Oh, no,
crazy.
not really, but I don't tend to. I don't know. Like I just don't get a lot of that stuff in my feeds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, mine is just it's like 2 to 3 notifications every single day for the last week with
Mm.
everything going on, and yeah, it's crazy. It's weird because there's only so many like coaches who have even said anything about it, which says to me that no one wants to say anything because they're all doing it. You know,
Oh, for sure.
not probably to the extent of Michigan.
I think I think there's teams doing it more than that, more extent than Michigan. I don't think they just happen to get caught.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's really all it is. I mean, it's like with NFL and the Patriots, and they got caught going to practices. Like I'm sure almost every team does that, some form of that, but they got caught. So it's like,
Well, it's like they were like he was buying tickets on like, you know, or not Grubhub, Ticketmaster or whatever, and then giving them to people to go to the games.
oh, I did see that.
And
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
and then he had like I want to say it's a 60-page manifesto about
Oops.
how what he would do and how he was going to end up taking over the Michigan football program.
Mm.
Just
Netflix stock.
yeah, but the is um you know, a lot of people are like, well, in-person scouting's illegal. Well, I think it's a gray area. I think, oh, and when they say illegal against NCAA rules,
Right.
I think the more I look at it, it's like I think he just exploited the rule. I think he found a loophole in it and used it to his advantage. I really like the more I read about it, I'm like, man, what's the NCAA going to do then? Because I have this feeling that if they're going to start to come down on Michigan, Michigan's going to be like, all right, well, how about you look into this school? How about you look into this school? How about you look into this school? Because everyone's doing it,
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, if really,
Except for clearly Sparty. They're not scouting anybody. they're just playing the game, hoping it happens.
it's just weird that you haven't really heard any coaches say anything, and the ones that have, like Dion, Coach Prime, he was like, you still gotta beat them. You still, I
Yeah,
mean,
for
everyone
sure.
does it, So
It falls on the coaches to come up with game plans that they couldn't steal. You know what I mean? Like, I get that can be hard, but like if they're just going to the games and watching your stuff, it's up to the coaches to change stuff like that. So, I mean, because they're going to watch film either way. You know what I mean?
right,
They act like the film is going to be purely on the field. It's like, no, there's going to be cameras on your coaches. It's going to be on your sideline. It's going to be
yeah.
all over. So,
Well, and Matt Rule brought up a good point this week. He goes, all this would go away if you just put um, a headset in the helmet like the NFL does.
yeah,
Like he goes, there's up these weird signs every week, you know. So
yeah.
crazy. So, anyways, all
Mhm.
that to say, um, let's get going with our games this week. First one in the MAC, Western Michigan at Eastern Michigan. And Eastern is a 2.5 point underdog at home. The over under is 47.5. Uh, I'll go I'll go first. I have Eastern winning and then the under at 47.5. Eastern has gone over only 2 games this year. Their defense plays well, that we know. Still a lot of questions with the Western offense, even with Hayden Wolf playing.
Mhm.
And we obviously know Eastern's offense is not good at all. Um,
They have their moments.
they do.
If they
Just
can run the ball effectively, they have a shot. But that's any team though. So I
right,
mean,
right.
like if Western can run the ball effectively, they have a shot too. You know? So I
So
mean, and they're go ahead, keep going.
no, I just that's pretty much what I had was that I mean, I could see Eastern's offense going for, I guess, more than 20 points against Western. I
Mm.
just don't trust it. So I took Eastern in the under, and Eddie took Eastern to win and cover. So what do
Yeah,
you got?
I agree with Eddie on that one. I picked Eastern to win and cover as well. Um, Honestly, I think this is kind of a toss up type of game. Especially Western's been they've like we're going to talk about on Saturday on the podcast. Um, Western has slowly gotten better each week.
Mhm.
So, I think it's up in the air. I think Eastern being at home is going to be huge. So I picked the Eastern to win and cover. As long as Austin Smith can just play semi-mistake free football, I think they should win.
I agree. I agree. Next up, our next game, we got MSU at Minnesota. Minnesota is a 7.5 point favorite, -7.5. Over under is 40.5. Eddie has Minnesota winning in the under at 40.5. What do you got?
Once again, I agree with Eddie on that one. I picked Minnesota in the under. Both teams offensively aren't. Minnesota's not going to shock the world or anything like that. But I mean, I could see them putting up It feels like they could put up maybe 28, and Michigan State maybe gets 1 or 2 touchdowns if they're lucky, if they don't mess up and just lose all confidence. But I agree with Ed. Minnesota and the under.
I took Minnesota to win and cover. Um, both teams are in the lower third of total offense in the country. The defenses are all right. I'm going to take Minnesota at home and to cover just because I don't think Harlan Barnett is going to get them ready to go to play. I just don't until he proves me wrong. I just don't see it happening, especially on the road in Minnesota late October.
I think a lot of the hyping up that the players get come from the coordinators, and obviously those guys. I mean, I'm sure they're great coaches in their own right, but it's supposed to be the head coach that motivates everybody, not the coordinator.
So. Right. Well, and, like Eddie said on Saturday's episode about Barnett saying, "Well, I think I'm going to have to be a little bit harder on these guys now. They've just been through a lot." And it's like, these, you have, like Eddie said, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. Mm-hmm. You got to keep, you know what I mean? You got to keep them focused.
Yeah. Especially during that time frame. Yeah.
It's like, well, what if MSU wins? You ever see the episode on the Dark Side of the Ring, the plane ride from hell? WWE wrestlers.
Is that the one where Vince McMahon gets in a fight with somebody on the plane or something?
No. It was they were coming back from Europe, and they had a private jet, and just things went crazy. Like Mr. Perfect took a shaving cream on Brock Lesnar's head and then smashed it on his head, and then they started like he chased it. And they hit the emergency exit, and Ric Flair's helicoptering his nature boy. And...
Right, yeah.
Yeah. MSU wins is gonna be hopefully it's a bust, because
I mean, I would love to be wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, Minnesota to win and cover for me, and you and Eddie have Minnesota and the under at 40.5. Next up, we have Oklahoma at Kansas. Oklahoma 7-0, Kansas 5-2, and we've got Kansas is a 9.5 point underdog at home. Over under is 66. Eddie had Oklahoma to win and cover. I also have Oklahoma to win and cover. Oklahoma's 6-1 against the spread this year. They're just a good football team, and they have a top 10 offense against a defense that's ranked 94, or a defense that's ranked 94th in the country. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma is 2-0 against the spread as a favorite on the road. Kansas is at home. I think they'll put up points. I think they're good enough to kind of keep it close pretty much through the whole game. I think Oklahoma just pulls away at the end. I think Oklahoma will be fighting for a playoff spot this year. They just have to. I think this might be their biggest test away until the conference championship. So it's a game they need to win. It's against a decent team. I'm going to take Oklahoma to win and cover.
Yeah, I agree. I took Oklahoma to win and cover as well. I think they're just overall the better team, and I think they're going to run away with it.
All right, next up is Georgia, Florida, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and Florida is a 14.5 point underdog at home. Or it's not at home, it's actually in Jacksonville. But I mean,
that's essentially
neutral, yeah. Over under is 49. Eddie's got Georgia and the over 49. Dean, what do you got?
Yeah, it's hard to go against Georgia. I mean, they are the number one team in the nation, and Florida is not necessarily the best team right now. I almost switched it to Georgia in the over, but I think I'm going to take Georgia and to win and cover.
Okay. All right. took Georgia to win, but Florida to cover. And um, the old cocktail party is it's only going to be a party for Georgia fans. They're number 3 in the country in total offense, number 6 in the country in total defense. Um, Florida is a top 20 defense as well. I almost took the under on it. I'm going to take Georgia to win. Like I said, Florida to cover. I think the over under is right where it needs to be. Which that's what scares me. And I almost just took Georgia to cover, to be completely honest with you. I think I'm actually going to. I think I'm just going to take Georgia to cover. Um,
Don't second guess yourself.
you're right. Florida to cover.
Good, that's points
Georgia
for
to
me.
cover.
I'm just trying to get
I
you to
know.
switch. You should switch off that.
Gosh, I don't know. I keep looking at it. I'm like, I'm gonna take Florida to cover. I think it might. It's gonna be
14,
close.
14 and a half is a strange number. You know what I mean? Because they could
Yeah.
just lose by 2 touchdowns. And they're like, oh.
Right.
So,
Right. I'm just gonna stick with it. You're right. I'm gonna stick with the gut. Go with Florida to cover. So the last big game we're going to talk about for the week is Oregon at Utah. Both 6-1 teams. Utah's a 6.5-point underdog at home. Over under is 47.5. Eddie had Utah to win, and which is the automatic cover. I took Oregon to win and cover. It's a big game for both teams because it means a lot in the Pac-12.
mm.
Oregon lost on the road by 3 points to probably a playoff contender in Washington. I think if Oregon gets back to the Pac-12 championship against Washington at a neutral site, I think they beat Washington, which I think would put them in the college football playoff. So, with all that being said, I like Utah's defense. Utah's defense is very good. But Oregon's a good football team on both ends. I look down like this because I got my notes down here. On both sides of the ball, they're a really good football team. Utah's D, like I said, is good, but their offense is not. They're pretty average, if not below average. Their defense really carries them through most games. I think it will be a close game, but I also think it's a game that Oregon will win. And that they need to win in order to get themselves in position to go to the football playoff. And I think if they can win out and like I said, meet Washington in the Pac-12, I think they do beat them in a neutral field. Yeah, I think they play neutral field. So, Oregon to win and cover for me.
Yeah, I picked Oregon to win, and this was somewhat of a tough game because both teams are good, and Utah they can hold teams if they need to. But I really think Oregon's offense is just going to be too much. They've put up numbers every single week, and they have a good defense as well. It's just going to be hard for Utah to keep up. But I picked Oregon to win the over on this one.
The over 47.5.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so what we're gonna do now, that's why I said this will be pretty quick, is we'll just go through the rest of our games. So if you want, you can just go through each game. Even though we set it on here, just that way you don't lose track. You know what I mean? You can just go through it and get through your picks. So I'll go first. For me, I had Eastern. We talked about Eastern winning and the under at 47.5. Minnesota to win and cover. They're minus 7.5. Yeah. Penn State to win and the over, which is 46. Maryland to win and cover. They're minus 14. Nebraska minus 2.5 to win and cover. Ohio State they're minus 14.5 away. I think they win and cover. I just don't think Wisconsin's that good. Louisville, Duke at Louisville. Louisville to win and cover. They're minus 4.5. Georgia to win. Florida to cover. Like about Oregon to win. Oregon to cover. Miami of Ohio at Ohio. I have Ohio winning the under 30.5. Ohio is minus 7.5. Tennessee at Kentucky. I got Kentucky winning over. I have the over at 51.5. And it looks like Kentucky's a 3.5 point underdog at home. Vanderbilt at Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss winning and the over at 63. Vanderbilt's been over every game this year. 63 is over. I just can't go against 8-0 on the on the over. Miami to win, but Virginia to cover. It could be a letdown after a big win for Virginia, but 18.5 points is a big number, especially with Miami. Oklahoma to win and cover that we talked about. Texas to win. They're a 19-point favorite against BYU, but I have the over in that game. I think Texas will put up quite a few points. BYU is really not that bad. I think they're 5-2 this year, so I think they'll put up some points to get that over. USC to win and cover. They're 10.5 point favorite away against Cal. I think USC will more than cover that. UCLA to win, Colorado to cover. Colorado is plus 16.5. I think Prime will have Coach Prime. I don't want to disrespect his name. Coach Prime will have the boys ready to go, and Washington to win and the under at 60.5. They're playing Stanford, and Stanford is a 27.5 point underdog, and that is my slate of games. Do you want me to go first for Eddie, or do you want to go?
I don't care.
Okay.
If you want to, yeah.
I'll do Eddie's real quick. Eddie had Eastern winning and covering. He had Minnesota to win and the under at 40.5. Penn State to win over 46. Maryland to win, Northwestern to cover. Nebraska to win and cover. Ohio State under 45.5. Louisville to win and cover. Georgia to win in the over at 49. Utah to win and cover. He had Ohio to win and cover. Tennessee to win and cover. Ole Miss to win and cover. Miami to win and Virginia to cover. Oh, man. I might change that one.
Don't.
Oklahoma to win and to cover. Texas to win and to cover. USC to win, and he has the over at 66.5. Again, they're playing Cal. UCLA to win and to cover, and Washington, and he also has the under at 60.5. So
sounds like a good slate.
Yeah, Dean, what do you got?
All right. Well, so we'll start off. I took Eastern Michigan over Western to win and cover. Minnesota over MSU in the under. I took Penn State over Indiana in the over. Maryland over Northwestern in the over. I took Nebraska over Purdue. Nebraska to win and cover. Ohio State to win and cover. Louisville in the over. I took Georgia to win and cover. Oregon in the over. I actually took Miami, Ohio to win and with the automatic cover. I don't know, something felt battle of the in-state, I took Tennessee to win and cover. I took Ole Miss to win and Vanderbilt to cover. Um, talk about a premium. I took Miami to win and Virginia to cover.
Oh no.
um,
Premium.
I took Oklahoma to win and cover. Texas to win and cover. USC to win and cover. Took UCLA in the over, and then Washington to win and cover as well. Stanford just gave up 42 points to somebody last week. So
You said UCLA to cover?
UCLA to win in the over.
Over.
Well, now I hope we'll have to go over my notes later to make sure you got my overs. I went with. I
Oh
had a
no,
few.
I typed them all in.
Okay.
I got it. So you're good to go. And then you said Washington to win and cover.
Yes.
All right. Got some good ones on here. All right. So let's finish up here. A real quick episode tonight. We didn't have the
There's no Michigan sign stealing conversation that lasted. I sat there for 50 minutes while you guys talked.
yeah. We don't have our stats guy here this weekend or this week.
The spreads and stuff.
All right. Well, let's do our people's parlay lock of the week. And start with Eddie's. Eddie took Georgia, Florida over 49. His explanation here says Georgia and Florida have gone over in 4 of the last 5. And that's all he had. So Georgia, Florida over 49. And Dean, what did you have?
I went with Oklahoma over Kansas to win and cover.
Oklahoma minus 9.5.
Yep.
Okay. I had a couple. I thought about the Ole Miss Vandy over 63. But in the end, that was too big of a number. So my lock this week is Colorado plus 16.5. I think that is a big. UCLA's pretty good, but Colorado's offense is pretty good.
You took Colorado to win?
No, they're plus 16.5.
Oh,
so I think I took UCLA to cover, but I mean it could be a 7-point game. I mean they could lose by 2 touchdowns and still it'd be a cover. So I mean, and they took USC. I mean, it was a mad comeback, but it was still, it was still close. So, yeah, I got Colorado to cover 16.5. So, all right.
Colorado to cover.
All right. So, with the 3 picks, that puts parlay at plus 567. $10 gets you $66.76 if you put it in.
Nice.
So it's usually about the same every week, right around the 550 to 600.
Yeah.
Pretty rare that we get over 600. So cool. All right. Do you have any pressing needs you want to talk about? Anything to get off your chest?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoy this format. If you like this format, let us know. If you like the other format, let us know. If you like Eddie just not being on here, let us know.
Keep it to yourself.
No, he'll be back next week. And all right. Well, you guys have a good weekend. Dean, have a good weekend. If you're betting, good luck and bet responsibly. We'll see you next week. Pick 'em.